dropped on that one.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Here we are. That's a B-nubs.
Yes.
What's up, hotness?
How are y'all doing?
Oh,
Supercalifragilistic. Okay, so what's on screen? This is what started
Today.
No, our night. That's what start like. So Rachel and I, we got this fancy dancy software. Some friends of ours, Bryce Papenbrook, our tech head, and they know everything about software and automation and how to be fancy. And so we're like, yeah, I could totally learn Calendly.
Show us the way, Bryce Papenbrook.
Well, so you'll see here, I have convenient little boxes for lots of people. Here's the problem. It only lets me point to one of your calendars at a time. So I was trying to be fancy. There's no personal information on here. Okay, cool. Can you, how do I change which tab I'm?
You click on this. Well, because remember you selected it instead of your screen.
Oh,
like, I just want.
Google Hangouts lets me, okay. So it will only let us point to one calendar. And I was like, okay, well,
that's not going to work.
I guess what I'll do is I'll book Brittney first. And then after all the Brittney people expeditiously book their Hangouts, I'll switch over to Cherami, and then everyone will book Cherami, and then I'll go to David. Well,
David,
but then what happened was that people from Brittney who were late started booking on Cherami's calendar. That was the thing.
Well, and then not only that, but they would book it, but then it would double book. So it would not only put Brittney's person on Cherami, it would put Brittney person on Brittney and Cherami. And so then we had to figure out
what's
which
real.
one did they book.
Yeah. So 2 a.m.
We went through every one, but we missed one because he booked late after we went to bed.
Oh no.
So we'll be purchasing Calendlys for each actor, so that because if I have 3 of them, then I can automate everything, and it'll be in the. We figured I'm going to do my best Bryce Papenbrook impersonation, and it's going to reduce a lot of 2 a.m.
Anytime you can reduce any sort of 2 a.m.
That's not a Bryce. Automation is a Bryce.
True. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen him.
No, he doesn't do that.
You guys look remarkably fresh for having no sleep.
No kidding.
Thank you. And I was inspired. So many people have mentioned Wayne's World, and Brittney's mentioned Wayne's World. I went and I put on for the panel. He's always been a hockey in Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Yeah,
agreed.
Party time. Next thing. Okay.
I just don't.
No taste.
Stupid humor. I just can't do it.
I love stupid humor.
Yeah, I was raised on it.
I have to be in a mood. Like if I'm watching, I can't remember what movie it was, but I was not in a place for that kind of humor, and I was so over it. And
I thought this was going to be Schindler's List. What happened?
What is this? And then I watched it it was Mr. Deeds. And I watched it, and I was like, what is this? And then a couple years later, I watched it. I was like, this is delightful. I was like, I just have to be in the right mindset to understand. So John will ask me, I'll say, what are we having for dinner or lunch, 3 hours earlier? And he's like, we don't need to talk about that now. I was like, I need to know what to prepare myself for. I need to know what movie we're seeing hours before so I can get myself in a headspace. I need to know what's happening. I'm definitely not a type A control freak. I don't know what you're saying.
Well, speaking of your type A, one of my favorite memories of you is because I was like, hey, are you interested in being Wendy? Is it your type of thing? And you're like, is this my thing? I have 7 books in my carry-on because I need a book for every mood. And if I'm in a particular mood, I'm going to select the right book, and that's how I roll.
He's not joking. My carry-ons are so heavy because I refuse to get a Kindle because I like paper.
Yes.
So I have all, and like every time they go through my carry-on bag, the TSA agent's like, ma'am, this is probably really bad for your back. You don't need to carry all these books. You could get a Kindle and you could have them all in one space. And I'm like, I'm a 90-year-old woman. Let me have my paper, please.
You can bend over and I'll show you where to put the Kindle.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's been when I made that realization, like, oh my gosh, Cherami's typecast as Lucy. She's just as much of a bibliophile as Lucy is in Fairy Tale. Like, this is
I'm such a nerd.
So I have a question about that. Because a lot of people get typecast, but I know at the same time you're like, you go for an audition and you audition for a particular character. So like, which comes first? Like, you pick the character that you think is like you, or how often does that happen where someone says you're this character and then you're like, okay,
That's
sure.
a great freaking question.
You know what I mean?
Who's causing
that-
it? Are
does
you
that make-
causing your own?
Are we causing our typecast?
Yeah.
I mean,
David?
don't answer all at once.
David,
Oh, I thought you were asking Cherami. Yeah, you know,
Well, no,
it
you
kind
got
of depends. I was going to let Cherami just take the heat on that one.
I was
Good
going to
luck,
let you take the
Johnny.
heat so I can think.
Yeah, you know, it depends. Certainly, there's with each one of us, there are probably noises we make that are kind of, you know, more or less signature, you know, sounds that we have that you know we're thought of for, particularly if we've used them in previous characters. So people will, you know, directors will sometimes draw on that, and there won't be an audition, and they'll just think, oh, this is a perfect role for Brittney. I've done that several times. As a director, I've done it several times. Because when you have access to actors like these two lovely ladies, you know, there's always going to be a role for someone with that kind of skill and ability. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, you know, and as a director, I like using actors against that usual type. Like, one of my favorite things that I ever get to hear Brittney do is dark Brittney, right? So when I cast her as Gaga Ruru in Love Stage, and she was all, you know, nasty, I was like, I want to hear more of this. So then I cast her as what was a tarantula panther in Cutie Honey, and just like, and of course that character has sort of a redemption arc, right? But like, she starts off being kind of nasty, and I love hearing Brittney play dark. I love it. I love it.
I'll tell you what, somebody in LA got a hold of that side of Cherami, and I watched Beastars, and holy shoot,
She is mean. She is mean. Oh my gosh. I don't know. So for the longest time as a kid, I always got typecast as the tomboy with an attitude. And I told my mom, I was like, looking back on it, I'm like, why am I always playing Scrappy? Like, I thought I was just a girly girl. I was in ballet. I could not play sports to save my life. I just didn't understand. But any character that had like braids and overalls and was like, don't tell me what to do,
like,
or was a bully, they're like, Cherami. And I just didn't understand. And then I got older, and then suddenly I played every mean girl in everything. And like in Temple Grandin and Fast Food Nation, I was like, one of the lines that I had in Fast Food Nation where I was like, this is not me at all. She's like, can we go, please? Like, I would rather go talk to those cute guys. And I was like, never have I said that. Never will I say that. Like, they were working on saving like the world, and I was like, I'm sorry, boys.
I have definitely said that.
Me at all. But I played that for a while, and in voiceover, I have played blondes for a million years, which is fine. So I don't know if people go, oh, we know she could do this. and we saw this and we thought of her immediately because we've seen her do it before. Or if they say, like you said, David, I haven't seen them do this, and I think this might be fun to let them stretch. And then once they see that you could do that, then everyone's like, wait, I didn't know she could do that. I want to work with her doing that. And then you're typecast as what you were not initially thought of as. But I don't remember who it was said, I don't care. I think it's Bryan Cranston said, I don't care if I'm typecast as long as I'm cast. And the fun thing about being typecast is, as similar as they all are, there's a difference to them. And even if you're playing a character you play a lot, the nuances will make each role a little bit different, and you find something different in each of them, which is kind of fun.
It happened to me, you know, I had been doing anime for a little, you know, a year or two, I think, before Halo Legends came along. And when we did that, you know, when we auditioned for that, they wouldn't tell us what we were auditioning for. So I became convinced, just reading from the sides, I saw the character's name was John, and in it he was having conversation with what was clearly a woman, and she was clearly like very clinical, or I mean almost robotic, right? And clearly this John character was a military cat. And at the time there was a new Terminator movie, and there was that Sarah Connor TV show.
Oh yeah.
And they wouldn't tell us what we were working on, but they told us it was an established property. So I became convinced that they were doing an anime of the Terminator, and that I was auditioning for like a grown-up John Connor. And I was like, all right, well, what does John Connor sound like if he's been like on the battlefield shouting? Clearly they're not looking for like a 20-year-old John Connor if they're auditioning for me, or if they're auditioning me. So I thought, okay, he's been in the field like shouting orders for years and years, and he probably sounds like this. And I went in and I did that, and it was the first time I ever did that in you know, for an anime session. And they cast me in what I would eventually learn was Master Chief, or Master Chef, I kept calling him. But and after that, I think 99 out of 100 voices I have ever do, or this guy, you know, it sounds like you just woke up and had 28 cigarettes and maybe a bottle. And so it got me a lot of work, you know. And then actually Funimation called down to Houston because they were casting a show that was a huge show. It was One Piece, I think. And they had, you know, everybody's in that show. They'd cycle through every actor in their stable. So they're like, I need a guy who doesn't sound like a kid. And again, it was John Swayze. Thank you, John Swayze, for like my whole career. And he was like, take a listen to this guy. So I went in and I did this guy for Paulie, you know, and like, and they were like, hey, great. Hey, you want to play this Gajeel guy too? Okay. So, hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yes.
Typecast my ass.
Gajeel.
Yeah.
Brittney, what is your official typecast? Because I've heard you play a variety of things.
Yeah, I think that when I first started being cast at ADV back in the day, it was all for like really little girls. And I quickly wasn't able to do that voice anymore. Like I started, it was so high pitched. I don't even think I could do it anymore. Like what I had done. It's not like Wendy. It was even higher. It was much younger. And that was kind of what I started out in. But at Funimation, I feel like the typecasting probably happened after Black Star, because it was like, oh, you can do a boy voice. And it kind of went from there. That like,
yes.
Yeah, there was actually a point where I remember an engineer saying to me like, oh, I didn't know you could like do girl voices. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, yes, I think I can. Do I sound like a girl? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm questioning everything about my life right now.
So much.
Yeah, but
what an awkward thing.
Yeah, no, it was cool too. It was awesome. Like I was like that there was like a signature thing, but it is always good whenever you can have, you know, opportunities. Like, you know, the first time David cast me in a role that was so opposite of myself, you know, I feel like also Bloom Into You was also opposite of myself in that character. And I had so much fun with doing that because the way that you painted her was like Lydia from Beetlejuice. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Like I'd love to channel that. And I
would pay
that
such money to see your Lydia in Beetlejuice.
Oh my gosh, it was
over
so
and over
great.
again.
But it was refreshing, and it makes this great energy, you know, in the booth when you're not playing the same. Not that it's not great; it's pretty much great to just be there. But you know, when you get to play something that's very different than what you usually get to play, you leave really pumped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just feeling just I don't know how to describe that feeling, but it's real good.
Well, it's funny, it's often we get thought of as voices and not actors, but you find with actors who've been at it, who are as prolific as a Cherami or a Brittney, we still.
Or David.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, and you.
We still don't know what the extent of their ability. We still don't know. Maybe they don't even know. You know what I mean? So like, it's really exciting to throw an actor something that they weren't expecting and don't get to do. And you'll find that they sink their teeth into it and give you everything they got. And it's such a pleasure to watch. It's one of my favorite things about directing. And I never wanted to be a director. But then I started having this experience, working with actors, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. It's just my favorite thing.
But you're absolutely gifted, even if you never wanted to be, because yeah.
There's so many times that, like you said, as an actor, I might not know that I can play a certain character, or that somebody would be able to perceive me in that way. There's been so many times where I have said in the session, and this is exactly what is great about voiceover, is how many times have we played a character that if I walked into the room for a play or for a TV show or a film, they would be like, get out, just because the look just will not be accepted. There are times where it makes sense dynamically that, I would never think that, but that's the plot of the story. But if you're just supposed to be a support bit character, you have got to look like how you sound. And you don't have to do that in voiceover. And so a lot of times I have gotten into the habit of going, if I don't look like it, I probably can't play it. But then when it takes the director to be the one to make the call, even if it's something I want to explore, to say, no, I think she can do it. Because we can say all day long, I think I can do this. Just give me a shot. But until a director like you says, no, they can, let me give them a shot. And then everybody goes, you were right. Then we have a new typecast.
That's one of the best things ever. I tell you, I've had to go to the mattresses with producers over some of my castings, and I always won. Yeah. And they learned quickly to trust me.
And then it's all we play forever.
Well,
that is absolutely true.
There was a Kame Ga Kill. I remember texting Brittney as I'm watching a Kame Ga Kill. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And Brittney just texted me back. She's like, just give it 20 seconds. Just wait. In a Kame Ga Kill she is a murdering psycho rape. Holy cow. But then she was dead within 60 seconds.
Yeah.
No.
She was one of those. No, I was so happy when she died, though. I felt good about it. she deserved it.
Totally terrible person. One of the most terrible people.
I was like, I wanted my character to die quickly. It was like, you're horrible.
Oh, gosh. It's can I even cash the check for this?
But anytime I'm playing a character that says the most aggressive or vengeful, mean things.
Everything in before?
Yeah. There's been a couple, that one because it was bullying and I was on the receiving end of that in high school, that I was like, ow. Yeah. This is not nice. And they're like, actually, you need to be meaner. And I was like, no. Okay. But sometimes when you're doing specifically for games where they're like, you just need to bark orders at people, or you get a kill and they need you to say something super aggressive to the other human being, or the other player, or whatever. Yeah. There's been so many times where I will go, no one would buy this from me. And so I just have something super aggressive. I have because they always ask for usually for games, usually an A, B, and C take. So I'll give one version that's pretty safe, one version that is what I would like to do that's kind of off kilter, but probably won't play. And then one that is whatever, let's just throw this at the wall and let's see what happens. And the director that's been working with me on one project, he goes, the last take is always real judgy, and I really like it. Last take, please. I'm like, oh, no.
Judgy.
No.
I could say from experience that's David, too.
Oh, yes.
100%. Every take. The last one.
Yeah. I remember directing. So we were doing the World audiobook, and both, Brittney and David would give me 3, and I would be like, wait, why would I need to hear this? Oh yeah. And then David, no, one more. And they're like, oh damn. If we keep doing this, does it get better every time? Like,
I feel like at some point they start to go downhill. Have you ever like just been like, I'm just gonna throw them out there, and then after a while, like
returns.
At some point they start. You go, those words that didn't even make sense the way I inflected that sentence. I'm so
takes
sorry.
is kind of magical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, because that's what generally happens is your actor gets braver. Your actor gets deeper. So you'll do a take, and the actor will give you what they think you, the director, are after. Right?
Yeah, they just get less self-aware.
Right. And then the second take, you're like, oh, the director responded positively. I'm going to rub a little stank on it. And then the third take, you're like, all right, they're still with me. Well, let's see what you think of that. Yeah.
No,
but then like the 5th one, it's like, I just emphasized the wrong word in a sentence.
Yeah. At some point, you go from like becoming like losing the self-aware nature that keeps us from being super creative to being like ultra super aware, going, oh God, what am I doing wrong? Is my voice coming out? I don't even think this is me anymore. This is why it's not working. I am now a different person. This is terrible. Like you just totally are in your head. And then they get silent, and you're like, please be ordering lunch. Please be ordering lunch. Maybe I'm actually getting fired. I don't know what's happening.
Okay. Oh, God.
That's the progression of me. I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable. We've got a groove going. Okay, I feel really confident. I could just play. And then suddenly it becomes like, oh, I'm a terrible person. I should get another job. I could do any of these 4 jobs. No, I would suck at those 2. I'm quitting life. Like that.
Someone with my skills could excel in the food service or house cleaning industry.
No, I can't cook and I can't clean.
Yeah, you could be a cat walker.
Okay. Well, did you guys see my cat, by the way, just like leap up here from the ground?
Yeah.
My God. I don't know what he's doing.
Did your cat walk on a leash? Sorry. Okay, that's super random. I was just
no,
said that.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed outside. They can't be trusted.
I'm so impressed.
This is little Sammy. I open the window for them so they can smell outside. Occasionally, I will carry them, but because they are rescues, when they're outside for probably more than 20 seconds, they start getting very anxious. Of like, oh God, I have no home anymore. So like we can't. I just let them smell outside, and I'll hold them, carry them outside. They'll sit in my lap, and then when they start getting like, I want to go back in my home. Okay, great. We go back inside.
I am exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Adorable. So I invited Rachel this time because this, everyone, audience, everybody that's watching, this is 3/4 of the current cast of the Color World audiobook series.
She created the world we live in.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's so rare that Rachel gets like this kind of experience. That
It's cool. I don't know. Has this happened before?
Never.
Have all
Never.
been in the same room
Nope.
before? No.
No, because we just got David to come out of his closet. Like,
Yes.
Oh, honey.
He's like,
Did you mean to do that?
I think after into it, I was like, oh, I might as well just take this. I'm like, the softball is there. Somebody put it on the tee. I might as well just. So we'll be doing a shameless plug for tomorrow because we're gonna make Anime Day again tomorrow for 90 freaking minutes.
8 p.m.
Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
For tomorrow. So it'll be David. Hopefully we'll have a few surprises. I'm trying to do so many things behind. No, you're not allowed to know anything, David. You just show up and be your beautiful you.
Okay.
That version right there. So Rachel, now that you have your cast in front of you, we're prepping for Shadow World. Rachel owes me line counts, by the way. That's why none of you have seen those yet. She owes me line counts.
I was like, the world is canceled. I don't even know if it was happening this year.
It's happening.
The world is canceled.
Todd's like should you just like maybe like unplug and chill? Like I know you work 140 hours a week. Maybe this is the year. He texted me the other day. He's like,
he doesn't believe in that.
I was like, he's like, are you going to say the word vacation at some point, right? I was like, I just laughed. Just laugh emoji, laugh emoji, laugh emoji. But we got the PPP, and those PPP loans for small businesses saved our can.
It's real. I didn't realize that those things were
Rachel's like, nobody ever helps us.
the
We're
government
screwed.
program to help small businesses. That sounds like a fantasy, but okay.
But hey,
Like Brad was applying for it as we're walking out the door of our house that we sold. Like I was like,
With nothing
why
left.
are you doing
She's like,
this
why are you
now?
wasting your
I need
time?"
your help.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a deadline. And I'm like, whatever, we're not getting that crap. And then like it showed up 4 days later. It was like, I don't know.
Dang.
Trust
Somebody
me,
has to-
Brad.
Somebody has to do the business side of life. You know, we can't.
True.
We can't.
Just a skeptic is the problem. I'm like skeptical of like, you know.
I feel like you're just cautious. Like you're optimistic, but you also are like, look, I don't, because I'm the same way. You prepare for all the scenarios because you want to be ready for whatever happens. So you don't want to get too excited and invested.
If you're not in the right headspace and something terrible happens, then you just go downhill from there. And you're
That's why I need to know what movie I'm seeing and what I'm eating.
exactly.
Oh man, if it's Will Ferrell, you're already ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I can't even plan my outfit the next day. I don't even know.
Oh, that's why I usually am so stressed in the mornings because I don't know what I'm going to wear. And I wake up in the morning, I'll go, okay, this will be fine. And I put it on. I'm like, this is why you should prepare. It's terrible.
Meanwhile, I'm like, oh, there's yesterday's clothes. Okay, that works.
Lately, I'm bathrobe number 3.
I basically buy everything in neutrals so that I'm sort of like a Gap, right? Like everything
Okay.
I own matches everything else I own.
I like that. I like it. You've got a style. It's consistent and it works.
If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah. Great.
Heck yes.
I do not. I don't at all.
So nothing is consistent in your wardrobe. If we went in your closet, it's not Roy G. Biv.
No. I did a pretty major closet clean out over the weekend. Brittney, you might relate to this. I have not grown since I was 14. So so I have stuff from like 8th grade. And then, but I don't want to get rid of it because I'll be like, oh, I remember this was a great day or a great time in my life. And then I look at it and go, you're not going to wear this and you shouldn't wear this. This is something for an 8th grader. So I finally got rid of a lot of those things. But I would say there's nothing really consistent. It's just a lot of different things because as an actor, you go, oh, I wouldn't necessarily wear this, but I need to be prepared if I have an audition and I need this for a character. So if you looked at my closet, you would be like, this is a closet for 19 people. Because no one person can have all of these styles. She can, and she does.
I see the
Yes,
comment.
when I was doing more film, I had a lot of things that I just never got rid of because I could, not only could I still wear them, but I could use them for an audition. And I know you also must relate to this, that when we, I don't anymore audition for super young roles, but I used to audition for a lot of 16-year-olds when I was in my 20s. And so it was really useful to have clothes from when I was that age because it was more legit.
Yeah.
And then I always had every time period. I had the 90s. I had the, you know what I mean? Because I would thrift store shop. So I had, I don't do as much film anymore. And after I had Edie, I got bigger. So a lot of that stuff is gone now. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You have to be prepared, especially when you'll get an audition. Because I know some people go, oh, so for film, you must get auditions weeks in advance. No, it's usually the night before at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And they'll say audition is tomorrow at 11. And you go, I have a session from 10 to 12. I need to spend my next hour trying to figure out where to place this so I can make the audition. And then it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you go, oh, awesome. This takes place in the 70s and they want me to look like I'm in the 70s. What do I have? There's no time to go shopping and buy clothes to fit into the time period. So you have to have all of this stuff. It's a really exciting time.
It sounds like Rachel can't stand me keeping things. I too have had my middle school on wardrobe. Sadly, I am.
He is not an actor, though.
Much this, yeah. So like, I'm like, I don't have any of these excuses. She just makes me get rid of stuff. Gosh, dang it.
Yeah, keep it all, man. So someone in the comments was talking about my cushions.
Yeah, they wanted
to feature my cushion.
Yes.
This is my Ray and Shogo cushion from Love Stage. So my roommate, for those of you who don't know, my roommate is the lovely and talented Miss Caitlin Barr. She's a writer for Funimation and also a voice actor.
Cool. I didn't know that.
She was also young Ryoma in Love Stage, and she had this pillow made for me for I think it was my birthday or Christmas last year. And then on the back it says this, which is my little hashtag for all my Love Stage Kitariji made stuff.
Man,
That's beautiful.
That's so fun.
I have to be honest, David. I love Love Stage because I don't believe in like hosting panels without knowing what I'm talking about. And we have 90 minutes of talking about gay things tomorrow.
It's not enough, honey.
Well, don't worry. I have no intention of putting you to bed tomorrow.
And you don't get to go to bed tomorrow at all.
Well, then it's not going to be a very gay panel, is it? Sorry. Was that inappropriate?
No, it's perfect.
Waiting on these panels. There's no. But I was waiting for you to be David, I think, in Love Stage. And I was like, why is he so put together? Like that guy. I was like, David's character is the least gay character in this anime. I was like, I don't buy that. Who in this anime is? It's really. I can't wait to dig into that. But that
we'll cover that.
Well, I feel like it's a lot like my favorite here. Watching Love Stage reminded me of B Gotta HK of Yamada's first. Yes,
Really?
Freaking Cherami. One of my favorite. I think it was an email. I'm not. One of my favorite things Cherami has ever said was, "Do you think we should take down my Yamada's first time character and maybe put up like cells at work? I'm just thinking about like maybe what's more popular." And I was like, "Oh,
Because nobody ever talks about Bigata HK. I love that show, but every time I mention it, everyone's like, "What?"
They must not have kids. Is that what it is?
What? I don't know.
I think it's so fun. I love that show so much, and I miss it. I laughed so hard
So much.
in every single session. The bear of Laura Woodhull singing to the bear.
Yeah.
I cannot. I will cry laughing so hard. We had to take a 20-minute break because I could not compose myself, and I wasn't even in the scene. Oh my gosh.
The writing in that show is phenomenal. It's
so good.
It is. It's
like
A+.
adolescence. It's just
Who wrote that?
Jamie Marchi and Leah Clark.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's a done. Yeah, because Jamie is who
So
wrote Miss Kobayashi, right?
Yes.
Oh,
I think she was one of the writers.
She was one of the writers, right?
Amy wrote everything.
Yeah.
Leah's the main character, but I feel like every time we talk about it, she's like, "Look, I killed it because Jamie wrote this script."
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. Oh, Jamie, I'm trying to. One of these days, I'm going to get on Jamie's schedule to do. A lot of people love Kaylin, Brittney. A lot of people love Kaylin, and they want more. And there's that whole chunk where Kaylin disappears. I'm going to be kind of cryptic because it's a little deeper into the series, but I would love to work with Jamie to write that part of Kaylin's history, and then obviously you get to you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
That would be cool.
It's a totally missing part that only whatever's in Rachel's head could figure out.
question is, do I know? I don't know.
Well, we were going to work with Chelsea,
Whatever. Yeah.
but then Chelsea, I don't know. I guess she had a hard time. She felt like literally when you go to her Twitter now, it says not here anymore. So I know. I'm like, but I need you because people do this, and I want to give you creative work to do. I feel like that's been my job at Color World, is to try to find outlets for everybody to be creative and to okay, so I have to sell enough T-shirts so that I can I need Cherami in the booth. I need David in the booth. And Rachel needs to keep writing. So, all right, I'm going to go out and sell some metal prints, and we're going to use that. And so, like, that's been my job, is to find ways to keep you all being creative and telling stories. And then I do the song and dance part. I do the traveling salesman. What do you have questions for your? You rarely get to. You think about. I know that you.
Yeah, putting me on the spot. Here.
So
I didn't even know I was going to be on this thing.
Well, it's so rare that your cast is before you.
She's always in the shadows.
I am.
I'm still trying to
World.
figure out how Love Stage and Be Gotta HK are like, you guys.
Okay.
I've seriously just been like, I don't understand how they're like. I'm serious. I don't understand. I just been sitting here like.
You go back to where you said that weird. Okay, so. What I love about Be Gotta HK is, so we Rachel, it was great. She had a convention. She was working with one of the teenagers that's on our staff, and on the way there was like, all right, it's just gonna be weird if I ask you about like weird, awkward stuff. So I'm gonna put this on, and it's just gonna force our conversation in that general direction. And I plan on, I'm gonna sit down and watch it with Novin. He's my oldest. Bea, I feel like, has already watched.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah,
she's like watched it.
Like, and like, to me, what, like, you can either be just a weird, creepy parent and be like, would you like to talk about sex today, there, child?
Oh man,
that's right.
Yeah,
sex. Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't have children right now, because I can't even mentally figure out how you even.
You just watch. Look, we encourage.
You just watch Be Gotta HK.
Yes,
that's
it.
And
it's gonna make it. And so in the same way, Brittney, in which it's very real. The topics that are being talked about are very important, and it is over the top. Love Stage is like over the top, and so
I can see in those ways.
And
that's one of the things I like about Be Gotta HK is like every single character is so awkward. And every single person at some point in their life feels awkward, especially talking about that subject. But like all of the characters in that show want to maintain a sense of like, yeah, she's weird, but I'm not. Or he's weird, but I'm not. But when you watch it as an observer, you go, wow, everybody is just as uncomfortable with life as I am. I'm not any different. So if we're all awkward, we can have an honest conversation about it, because we're all feeling a little uncomfortable here.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what Love Stage did for me, Brittney, and that's why I think I put the two in the same category. It's addressing all, I don't know if we can say the rest of the rest of the range of awkward, but Be Gotta HK is heterosexual, and it's like, well, what happens to everybody that's not heterosexual during that time of life? And then we can like hop over to Love Stage and go like, but this is what it looks like over in this part of the spectrum. And so for me, I see them as a continuous line. Like Be Gotta HK just goes straight into Love Stage, and we're just we're given the opportunity to talk about.
Okay. Yeah. All right. In that way, yes. Okay. It's just that one was like such, because Be Gotta HK is almost like like so much more comedy at like
you didn't feel
aspect, and like so much more like
Love Stage is crazy. It's crazy.
Dirty.
Guys and girls, like you don't know who's what gender, and like there's that big reveal. Like he keeps having his clothes ripped off, and like it's.
Why do you keep talking about all my favorite parts?
I only go for the best, Bradley.
Oh, it's amazing! It's amazing. I guess I watched Bloom Into You, and I was like, this genre of homosexuality is much more serious than what we do over in. So like, and then it was not serious at all when I watched. Like going from Bloom Into You into Love Stage was like getting in a car accident.
I wish that we could reprint the Blu-ray and put that quote on the back of it.
Exactly. Actually package them together.
Oh man. It's
classic.
I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So David, do you have you been in Texas the whole time? Like you went Houston and then you went Dallas and now you're like in Dallas Metro. Have you been in Texas the whole time or have you lived in other states?
Oh yeah, no, well, like I grew up in Houston actually, but then right before I started high school, moved to the Midwest, and I went to high school at North Central High School in Indianapolis, and then I bounced around a lot for college. I was in Chicago for 2 years, and then Miami for a year, and then I moved to Denton for like a couple of months, and then to New York, and then back to Indiana. So I bounced around quite a bit.
Yeah.
I returned to Texas in like 05 or so, 04, 05, and then very quickly started doing anime at what was then ADV Films. And and then I was addicted like heroin.
Well, for us, it was Cherami came by repeatedly to buy Color World, but we were living in an RV, and when you run out of books, like, how do you get to an RV? It's going to be in another state in a week. So she kept coming by and I was like, I think I should look at the guest list for this show. And I was like, oh man, Rachel, one of the guests keeps coming by in different states trying to buy your book. Like I gotta look up everything she's ever done. I'm behind the voice actor. Okay, great. I can buy Netflix. Okay, Sword Art online. That's okay. Sure, we'll start there. It says she's the main character, and I watched that and was like, "Oh yeah, okay. What else is going to be suggested to me?" And then Netflix was like, "You should watch Fairy Tail based on your Sword Art online." And I'm like, "Whatever. Who's this pink-haired dude?"
Sure.
That was the end of that. I have, it's what we do. It's like we've made it what we do. The community is amazing. That was some of my favorite moments from Brittney today has been her celebration of the anime community and what it means to each other and that we protect each other and that we like just this whole thing that's happening right now is, I'm not saying that their other fandoms don't have value. The last Avengers movie was absolutely spectacular. I hope to put all of you on the screen when we do Color World movies, but there's something in the anime community that keeps trying to find ways for everybody to belong. David is a great example of intentionally trying to find ways for other people to belong. And so it's been these show days I love it. Do you?
I enjoy it. I mean, I don't get to like write. Usually I'm in the morning, I wake up and like, that's what I do first thing in the morning. And then once I do that, then I come over here and I figure out what needs to be done over here.
Yeah, I've always been curious because I know for writers, everybody's process is a little bit different. So what is your ideal like writing day, or what is your ideal morning, your ideal that gets you in the best place, which I'm like probably does not exist with the little children you have running around.
The ideal is all day.
Okay. But is there something that you would do? Like you would get to go sit outside or like?
But I do not sit at a desk.
Okay.
I've never written at a desk. It's too like
formulaic.
Okay.
And I like to tuck my feet up under me because my feet get cold. So I'm either in a bed, on a couch somewhere, and I rotate. Like when I get stumped, I'll like move locations in the house to like a different place.
Cool.
But writing is like flying a plane where you need a runway. So I can't just jump from one thing, write for 15 minutes, jump back to this other thing. Like I need a good solid hour to get into it. And then every time that I stop and do something else, it's like I have to do that again. Like another hour to get into it. And then so it's hard for that reason. But so I have to schedule my day in a way that I have that time to like take off. I used to write like late at night. But I think because I have a baby now, I get really tired at like 9 or 10 o'clock, and my brain just spins when I try to write, and I'm like, just got to go to bed. So I go to bed. But usually, at least in the past, it's always been like from like 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
is like
just-
prime time for me.
Wow. Okay.
But not currently. We're working on that. He just started sleeping through the night, so
Yay.
Yes.
gonna try to like get back to that. And it also maybe because I'm older, like 37 now, so I don't know. Old people seem to sleep at like early to bed, early to rise hours.
Yeah.
You know, like I think my mom wakes up at 4 a.m.
Oh,
and goes to bed at like 8, which is weird,
ooh.
but whatever. Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yes, I can verify that. I somewhere in my middle 30s, I became my father and was up like at the crack of dawn. These days, I'm up at like 3 or 4.
Really?
And there's nothing I can do about that.
I was going to say,
There's
what do
nothing I
you
can do
do
about it.
with your time at 3 or 4 in the morning?
Well, when I'm writing, that's when I write.
Okay.
It's when I get my best work done, early in the morning. If I'm doing anything productive on any given day, that doesn't involve going to a studio or other people who are sane and still in bed at that hour, then those early morning hours. And I think it's because for a while, for many years, I was, doing the whole like rock band thing. And I often made the horrible, horrible mistake, and I don't recommend it, of living with the band. Don't do it. So those guys being, we're in a band, we're on, they'd sleep until noon, 2 p.m. or whatever.
Oh,
It started to occur to me that the earlier I got up in the day, the more it felt like I lived alone for a while, which I loved them, but I also loved being away from them periodically. So those mornings were like my treasured hours where I felt at peace, and then they'd wake up.
I just feel like when I get up early in the day, if I can get things done as the sun is coming up or before the sun comes up, I just feel like I've had a more productive day.
Yeah.
Even if I'm up the same amount of time, it's like just shifting. I feel like I have made the most of the day because as the sun was coming up or before the sun was coming up, I was ready to go with it. Whereas if I wake up after the life has already been going on in the morning, I'm like, I feel like I'm playing catch up. Even if I'm not, I just like having that extra time to buffer. I don't know why.
I have ADHD, and the more people that are awake, the tougher it is for me. My like role at Color World is solver of problems, and so when all the problems go to sleep and it's just me, I get an insane amount of things done, and I will work until 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 a.m. Just because I used to trade stocks, and so like until 4 p.m. Like I just gotten in this mode of like, if everything's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong like while the sun's up, and that my day was like so much more relaxed, and I could like think straight again, and the lights weren't all blinking. And so ever since, managing money 10 years ago, it's like, I just want everyone to go to bed. I'm like, hey, it's 8 o'clock. Can we have family meeting? Can we get everybody in bed? How quickly at the end of the night when we have family meeting, I'm like, okay, hugs. Okay, great hug. Yep, hug. Okay, great hug. Okay, you guys go to bed. And then it's like, I have work to do. And so for me, it's like, I find that I would so much rather stay up till 4 a.m. and wake up at 10 than I would the other way around. Because if I wake up and then like 2 of my kids up, they're like, hey, Dad, you're up early. You want to do blah, blah, blah. I want to be a good dad. So I'm like, sure, let's do that. And then I get to the office at like noon, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff that I didn't get done because I didn't go straight to work. I've been playing hooky all day. Yeah. Whereas at 11 p.m., 1 a.m., like no one's up for me to play hooky with. It's just me and a bunch of work. So
yeah, it is.
So how does that manifest when you say it's ADHD? I'm vibing with you a little bit. I don't know. They didn't have ADHD when I was a kid. Otherwise, I probably would have qualified. But they didn't know what to call it. They just called us problem.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So like, I don't know what it is for me, but I know that I do get terribly anxious in large gatherings of people, and like even like larger than 8 or 10. It's not like I get into a panic attack or anything. I just I feel that sort of, I feel the tension in my brain, right? So like, how do you manage that, Brad? Because I know that you guys under normal circumstances are at conventions all the time. And for me, like, I've found my own management tools and coping mechanisms when I'm surrounded by that many people, you know what I mean? But how do you manage that? Because I know you're there all the time. So what's your trick?
So, the bummer is that I get accused that it has to be Brad's way or the highway. And that's how it seems to like manifest itself or appear to other people.
More of a control freak.
Because if I can control the circumstances.
Yeah. Like if we're in like this booth space, and as long as the booth space is organized in the way that he wants with the system, it's got to have the bookmark drawers have to be in a certain order.
Same order every week.
Like, and if they're not, like, he loses his gosh dang mind. And if the shirts aren't folded exactly the way that he wants them to, or like the money's not placed in the right place, like, so everybody that works with him has to work under that
system.
Yeah, system. Yeah. Because the whole time he's like looking around, talking to people, talking to this person, talking to that person. And so those things that might normally distract him, he's already got a system for it, and he doesn't have to like think about it. And so he's gonna like.
So it's sort of like your home on the road, and you've got to have your environment, and you've got to have it all consistent, because you are creating your own home and your own consistency wherever you go, because everything else is, bless you. Everything else is a variable. So the space is your only constant. So that's why you need it to be constant. Yeah.
So we have a rule that we're going to screw it up the first time. Like, expectations are great in managing like disappointment and heartache. And so like, if somebody throws a curveball at me, like, I'm probably going to blow it the first time. But systems and processes are what save me. Systems and processes make me look like I am one hell of a dude. And it's just that my system saves me from myself. Yeah. And if you do, 47 shows a year.
Well, and the other thing, I think that, you have like a very different personality from Brad, because Brad, like when he's at a show, like, you guys get in the booth and that's like your element. When he's at a show, like that's his showtime. Like that's his performance. That's when he's like at his best.
Yeah.
And that's when he gets his energy and his whatever, whereas for me, I'm like you, David, I'm like, I just have to like pace myself, and I have to think I'm going to be interesting for this many hours. And don't worry, at 7:00, you don't have to be interesting anymore. And then you can go to the hotel room and like nothing. So
put a cigarette in a holder, put on the turban, take a bubble bath. I want to be alone.
Yes, exactly like that. Sort of.
So Rachel, for you, your writing your recharge time? Yes. And Brad, you'd say the shows are your recharge time?
Yes. I can be a battery. I mean, you've read Color World, obviously.
Yeah.
I can one of the most amazing discoveries about Kaylin was her ability and what she could do for Wendy. And so I can do that. And we have Cachette in our family is also a battery. And so like both of us, Cachette one-on-one is great because she will like I literally can be better. I'm just going to take Cachette with me, and she is literally a human battery. It's kind of like what you see in the Matrix, but like it really works in real life. So for me, I literally am just going to take from the audience. Like you put 25,000 people in a room and you put the music on, we go and dance. Like
has quarantine been different for you guys, since so much of the shows, which are Brad's like recharge time, and you guys are out and about and among people, and that's usually when you feel charged up. Rachel, now that you've been at home, has this been helpful, or because you guys have been moving and going crazy doing all these different projects, have you not had time to recharge?
Well, the last few weeks since we moved, finally, things have gotten back to like feeling like it's conventions, because
sure,
Brad's, hiding out here, getting scheduling done, all that stuff, and being on conference calls, and like he's like constantly communicating with people. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be a room full of people, but he's a connector. So he's good at connecting people together. So he's like, I know this person, I know this other person. If I put them together, it's going to be amazing. And so when he gets to do that connecting thing, like even if it's just two people, like he gets a high from that. Whereas me, I'm like today, I told you my daughter's out there like refinishing a piece of furniture. Like she was like, I'm going to repaint this. I was like, that's cool. I know we could also we can add this and this and this, and like it'll be even better. And she's like, yeah. So now that I haven't gone to conventions, I found that I'm just like, I'm getting into my creative element.
Cool.
And I'm home all the time, which is so great.
Yes.
So great.
Agreed.
Me and Dave are going to hang out, but not together.
Not together.
Right.
No.
Right. We've pioneered this whole Zoom meet thing.
Well, so that's, to me, Cherami, what's taken the place is like, my schedule is insane.
Sure.
We're throwing a convention every 5-6 days. And what has recharged me is, as long as I get credit, like I'm a credit guy. If you screw the pooch, I'm certainly going to give you credit. But if you're spectacular, I also want to give you credit. And the internet has been ablaze with ColorworldLIVE is, and people are having fun. They're meeting people they've never met before. The international audience, so hi Rob, like Lockie, like the international audience is showing up and showing out. And like when I think about it, like, oh dude, $1,000 for a flight to the US, $100 if you stay downtown, admission to a show, autograph. I'm like, we're saving international audiences $1,000 to cut. So like, I'm doing a show every week and it's crazy. But getting credit, like people have been so like, love and appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for setting this up like that. That's another hour I'm going to stay up to make sure that person can feel like that all the time. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to promise a great experience and I'm going to deliver. And as long as people keep saying, Brad, you're delivering, 4 hours of sleep it is.
But you know, this format though, like I really have, like, whereas normally I would be so exhausted after a convention, I don't. I think the not being in physical space with other people, but still being able to interact with people is like so great. Like I don't get drained as much. I think people physically being near you, David, is probably like another, you know, it's not necessarily people as much as it is like being in a physical space with them. So,
well, the way I like to explain it is, you know, and it's I was using this terminology before it became like a meme, but I'm a textbook introvert. I always have been even before it was trendy. And the way I define that is that I think that it doesn't mean that I'm afraid to be out among people or that I revile being out among you people, get away. Yeah, sure. You know, it's not like that. But the difference is that you've got people who are extroverts, who generally, like, when they have time to kill, they want to go be with people and, like, you know, go to a bar or a club or like hang out with a group of their friends or, you know, go to a party or whatever people do. I don't know. But like that charges them. It gives them energy to like to relate among people that way. And you'll find that those people often, when they're forced to be alone, when they're forced to be by themselves with their own thoughts, it's actually quite taxing. Mm-hmm. And for someone like me, and probably like you, Rachel, like when you're by yourself, when I'm by myself, that's how my battery gets filled. And like when I can just go into my own head and swim around in there, that's how I recharge. And it's not that I don't enjoy going to social engagements or a convention or a Halloween party at a friend's place or whatever. It's just that like that, I will find at the end of something like that, it's the opposite of recharge. It's not a bad experience. It's just that like I'm drained and I have to go and sort of like refill the tank somewhere else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's strange about it. I mean, you'll find this is quite common among performers, right? And, you know, for me, being able to, you know, particularly in the years when I was doing a lot of theater, people didn't understand what I was talking about when I was saying this, because they're like, but you're in front of people all the time. But no, that's a very, like you're describing, Brad, it's a very controlled circumstance.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you've got clear lines
Yep.
on between where you and the people are. And like, it's not that I'm ignorant of the fact that there are other people there, or I'm ignoring the fact that there are other people there, or, you know, but I will admit, I tended to be, you know, often it's a tradition in the theater, for those who aren't familiar, after the show, for the actors to go out into the lobby and like talk to the crowd and whatever. And I would always jettison out the back door of the theater. I was just like, gone, puff of smoke, ninja smoke bomb. And like, I became kind of notorious for that.
I remember always having not necessarily anxiety, but I would find my cluster of people that I knew very well after the show, if they were there, and I would find that I would stick with them because it's your safety net. Whereas when you're on stage, like, it's the same thing like Brad was saying with I need the bookmarks to be exactly the same. When you're on stage, you're like, my prop is going to be here. This person's going to come here. We all know the same lines. So the variables are going to be the emotional magic moments that show up. And that's what makes theater exciting, because it's the only thing we're not in control of.
Chaos with parameters.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you walk out to meet the crowd, and it's not that we're not grateful for their presence, and it's not that we're not grateful for the energy that they brought to the show, because that magical connection of the unique set of people that are there for each show is the reason that the show is different every night. It's not us, because we're doing the same thing. It's the inspiration that we get. That's what makes it different. So absolutely, that magical combination, I'm grateful for every single person who is in the room, because it made for that unique experience. But when you walk out there, you do not have those parameters anymore. Someone could be like sick. Someone could be like really having an emotional experience to what you just did, and they've got to tell you about it, and you want to hear it, but at the same time, you just realize that you've got 19 text messages and your agent is like, text me back or I will kill you. It's all of those things that you have going on. So I get that. But one thing that I've noticed since the quarantine is it feels like the switches have been flipped, because John is a major extrovert and I am a learned extrovert, but I'm an introvert. Like I can learn how to be an extrovert, but I definitely need my time to like recharge. But now that we're inside so much, I feel like I am more charged and more energetic most of the time, and he is depleting way faster. And so it's like the tables have been turned, and now it's my turn to be a little bit more of the battery for him, because he's going through this deprivation time. So it's been a very interesting dynamic shift. And so I wondered if, because you Brad and Rachel, you have a similar dynamic, if you had noticed, we've got to make an adjustment here because this is different from the way it's always been, just because the world is different from the way it has been. Yeah,
for sure. Brittney, you like, it's kind of that way now with you. Like Matt is like out there and from day one, right? There was never like, all the recording was like, and then Matt's like, all right, going to work.
It completely shifted, because I was, going to Dallas once a week. And then if I could work at Sentai or work at the other studios, working 4 days a week, Edie was going to school, and then I was doing cons as much as I could. I was supposed to do 3. I was going to be flying out to Louisiana and the day that the flights got canceled. And so it was like everything just stopped. And I'm actually an extrovert. I feed off of talking to people in person. And I'm not super great with technology. So at first, I got to be honest, I was kind of nervous about all these things. I was like, oh, I have to he had to send me the links, because I was like, what if I have to hit a bunch of buttons at once? Then I probably can't do that within 5 minutes of another. I was so nervous about even operating it. But yeah, so it's been a total shift, and Matt's been out the whole time, and I'm like, you don't understand. All I've seen is a backyard. That's all I've seen. He's like, why did you order so many seeds? And I'm like, I'm going to grow everything. I'm not kidding. But I'm like cheat gardening. Like I got the carrots that are like in the paper strips that are like individual. So it does it for you. Cool. And you just kind of like bury it under a very shallow thing and then water it, and it does it. And
please text me what your garden looks like. I'm so excited for you.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a
That
concrete
sheep
patio. I
garden.
live vicariously through anybody who has vegetation.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm so excited.
Brina is the foraging expert.
He is.
Mulberries, right? They've been so impressive.
Yeah.
Makes me really jealous.
Oh man.
Yeah.
When did we
That's
talk
awesome.
about this before? We
We-
didn't.
We
Yes. Yes.
go on. Okay, I want to give all of you a break because VIP is coming up in 30 minutes. So you all take a break. Everybody who had any item, autograph, personalized recording, bought a hangout, all of those VIP. So the link is in our private Facebook group for everybody to go there. You guys all have emails with the backstage link. Go. You've got 25 minutes to rest and recharge and get ready. I want to thank you, Rachel, for joining us on
I'm gonna go recharge.
Yes. Well, that's usually the time that Rachel's like, oh.
I know. I thought I was gonna get
Oh.
a break. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go inside.
All right.
Ah, you fool!
Well, the VIP's coming. I'll handle the
We're
VIP.
so glad that you came to hang out.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes, what a delight! A delightful surprise.
everybody that was asking, you can Color World, Teleworld, and Luma World are now available on Audible, on iTunes, on Amazon. You can go to any of those. And literally, like, this is my cast, plus Todd Habercorn. David's book, Shadow World, is coming up. Oh my gosh.
David's book.
There's
It's
no-
Rachel's book.
Well, because
It's going to be called Shadow World, the David Wald story.
David Wald.
Wow. Actually, how did you know the name of my autobiography? Ooh.
Okay, all right. We'll have more hijinks at the VIP panel. Everybody, if you need to get into that, just go and grab an item, and then we'll do what we do on the backside, and we will fit your hangout in, so it's not too late. Thank you, everybody. Take a break, and we will see you at the VIP panel shortly.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.